Good morning, everyone. I've had a couple of people ask about the outboard fence that I use on my main shaper here. So everything is just 80-20 parts. This is just a standard, I think, 1.5 by 1.5 extrusion. And then using all their T-nuts and stuff, it's bolted through this slot, through the cast iron. So there you can see one of the fasteners, and then there's another one in back, and then I guess there's 3 spots. There might be 4, I don't remember, where it's bolted through the cast iron. So that was kind of the only part that was really all that tricky about putting it together, was just making sure I was drilling everything in the correct spot, which who likes poking holes into their tools? It's not fun. This is also from 80-20. It's just they call it linear bearing or a linear guide, I think. There's one on both sides. So, and then I was hoping that there would be enough rigidity with this laterally this way that I would be able to just use one side, but as soon as I bolted it together in the shop, just put the parts together, just trying to figure out how I wanted to do it, there's no way it would have worked. It's just not rigid enough. So what I ended up doing was using one of their linear bearings on both sides. This is also from 80-20. It's just a brake. It uses a carriage bolt that goes up into this, and it just clamps on the underside of the track and the extrusion. The aluminum plate, I just had a local machinist cut that for me, just cut the length. I also had him mill out a rabbet for it. And then I just took a piece of UMHW, rabbited it on the table saw, marked out my holes and drilled it for the fasteners. And then I just tapped them and then bolted them in. I also drilled, and I did not tap these. These have nuts on the backside. So, and I used nylock everywhere I could just to help keep vibration from chewing things up. So I did take the piece of aluminum because I'm a psychopath and polished it. I like shiny things. So this is on the side here. These are a pair of Wixie planer readouts, digital readouts for planers. I don't know. I just made it work. So there is some stuff that was kind of cobbled together, just trying to keep everything straight. Like there's a couple of nuts right here that were used for spacers. You just kind of want to keep everything fairly parallel. You don't want it rocking back and forth as you're moving this in and out, wherever that is. I did have some problems with static discharge. The machine is grounded, the dust collection's all grounded, but I would get discharge through something, and this is just a piece of wire bolted to both. It just seems to help a little bit. Part of the problem is probably I've got this piece of UMHW on the deck. Right now the plate is in the way, but it's just, let me move it quick. See if I can set the phone down. So when it's pulled all the way out, I just took a piece of Baltic birch and cut it to size so it fit the groove nice and tightly, and then just drilled and countersunk a couple of hinge screws into it. I guess there's 5 screws going all the way through it. Nice thing with this is it doesn't need lubrication at all. We pass a lot of lumber over this, as we do all our S4S and all our door sticking with it. So once in a while you do have to clean it. You get like sappy material, but I hose it down with a Teflon lube and wipe it off with a rag, and it's usually good for another 6 months or so. So the digital, I also put a stop on the end of it to keep myself and other idiots from pulling the scale out of the reader for the digital readout. You also want to take your track and lubricate it a little bit. The dry Teflon lube seems to work pretty well for that. And 80-20 does include shims, so you can kind of fine-tune the fit of how the plastic pieces in here interact with the the extrusion. So I don't know if I can get my phone to stand up nicely. I'm guessing not. So the other thing you're going to want to do, because of that stack discharge issue, and it's probably completely caused by the UMHW, and it's because you do get zapped by this thing once in a while when you got stock. Just the friction of the wood running across the plastic creates static, kind of like rubbing a balloon against your hair. So these are just blocks that I made. I don't know why the other hole is in it. I probably screwed something up at one point and said, whatever, I'm just going to use these. It does look like I drilled it off center, so something probably didn't work. The first one looks centered, this one is off. I did this about 2 years ago, so maybe 3. So it's a little fuzzy. But if you keep everything lubed up, you have to also kind of keep it straight. So right now I've got my 0 block set at 750. In order to reset that, you press and hold on off, I believe. And then you can dial it in manually with plus and minus. One side is going to end up reading negative, the other side is going to end up reading positive, but it doesn't matter. So that's how it works. Have a good day.